Welcome to Winging It and Winning, a podcast show where you will be motivated and encouraged to follow your dream. It's Veronica here, you guys, and I'm doing this episode in celebration of my 38th birthday. So for this episode, I wanted to share a special quote with you guys. It's a quote that has really helped me be who I am today. It's helped me make many decisions in my life, and I am so thankful that this quote came into my life when it did. Okay, so before we get into this quote, I want to tell you that when I was growing up, school was so hard for me. I literally did horrible in elementary school. I got held back in second grade. At that point, in second grade, my parents got divorced, so I missed a lot of school through the divorce. And so it impeded on my learning. And so I got held back. That was number one. And then it was just difficult, right? Like I couldn't read, and I couldn't write well, I couldn't spell. And I just had a difficult time. And so when that happened, I've always felt like I always had a low self-esteem when it came to my academics, because my report cards were always like U's, under satisfactory. You know, they were always bad. In middle school, same thing. My report cards were like C's and D's. I wasn't a good learner. I wasn't a good student. But luckily, that changed in 8th grade and in high school. Although school was still hard for me, I was able to get decent grades that allowed me to get into college. And so I thought that for me was a proud moment when I was able to. I learned the importance of school in middle school and in high school, and I learned that the only way to get ahead in life was for me to go to school. Because I knew that at a young age, I knew that I wanted to be a social worker, believe it or not. I knew what I wanted to be when I was, I would say, in 5th grade. And so I knew that I had to get good grades or decent grades in order to land me into college. And so luckily I did, but that doesn't mean that I never had insecurities about school, because those insecurities still lingered. And when I applied to college, I got in to Cal State Fullerton, go Titans, and I had to work my butt off. I took summer classes. I didn't finish college in 4 years. I finished in 5 years because school was hard, that I, failed some classes, had to retake other classes. Anyways, you get the gist. I had to finish in 5 years, but I still finished, and that's what matters. And so after I got my bachelor's degree in human services, I knew that I couldn't be a social worker with that degree because it was so vague, it was so general. So I knew that I had to either get a master's or just deal with a job that I can get with my bachelor's. But I was contemplating what to do after I graduated. Do I go to get my master's, or do I just start working? And I already finished my bachelor's, so I'm like, maybe I can just do with this. But I realized that the main reason why I didn't want to apply to college was because I was scared. I was scared of failure. I was scared that I wasn't going to finish and I was going to drop out and I was going to be a disappointment to my family. Which, let me tell you, they never made me feel like I had to go get my master's. My family was happy with whatever I chose to do. They were just happy that I was the first to go to college and the first to graduate high school. So they were already very proud of me. But I was still scared of disappointing them and disappointing myself. And so I was contemplating, what do I do? Well, long story short, I went to Starbucks one morning, and the deadline to apply for the Masters of Social Work program for Cal State Fullerton was nearing. And I was like, I have to make a decision. So let me go get my Starbucks. Let me think about it. And by the end of the day, I'll have my choice and decide what I'm going to do. So let me tell you, this was in 2007. Starbucks used to have cups that had quotes instead of, now they don't have that, but they used to have quotes in the back. And I think it's called like The Way I See It or something like that. So they would have different quotes every day on each cup. And so I got my Starbucks, my hot drink, and I was sitting in my car and I was like, let me read this quote. And you guys, the quote is the one thing that made me choose to apply to college. Let me read this quote to you, and then we'll break it down a little bit. So the quote says, "Remember your dreams and fight for them. You must know what you want from life. There is just one thing that makes your dream impossible, the fear of failure. Never forget your personal legend. Never forget your dreams. Your silent heart will guide you. Be silent now. It is the possibility of a dream that makes life interesting. You can choose being a victim of destiny or an adventurer who is fighting for something important." Paulo Coelho. So that quote, you guys, is the one thing that made me choose to apply to college. And this is why. Because it made me realize that the only reason why I didn't want to apply to college was fear. The only reason I didn't want to apply for my master's was fear. And so when it says, the one thing that makes your dream impossible is the fear of failure, oh my God, that's mind-blowing. That was exactly what was keeping me from my dream of becoming a social worker. And so when I realized that and I read that quote, it just brought chills to my arms. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to apply. What's the worst? I fail? Okay. And there's been many worse things that's happened to me. And if I fail in my master's program or I drop out, whatever it is, so be it. But at least I didn't give up on myself. And at least I gave myself the opportunity to finish this goal. So that's what I did. So I wanted to instill in you, I want to instill in you guys, my viewers and my listeners, that no matter what your fear is, it's just that. It's just a fear. You have to go for it. When you feel fear about something, do it, because that is when you're going to grow, and that's when you're going to see your potential and what you're really made of. If we continue to do things and stay complacent and do things that are comfortable for us, we're never going to grow. And if you don't want to grow, if you're happy in your life, then so be it. That's fine. That's fine too. But if you really want to grow as a person and you want a better life for yourself and you're stuck, try to chase the fear, because maybe that is where the growth is, and that is where your dreams will be realized. And when I applied to college, to my master's program, and I got in, and then I finished, and I was hanging with my cohort, and we were leaning on each other, and I was leaning on them to study, and they were helping me, and I was helping, all in that made me show that nothing is impossible. Veronica, who got held back in second grade, who never got good grades, who couldn't read, who couldn't write, who couldn't spell, was able to finish a master's program, then anything is possible. And that's where this podcast comes from. Because, see, it's not what makes me different that makes me feel like I can have this podcast or this YouTube channel or whatever. It's the thing that makes me like so many other people out there. There's so many young men and young women and little kids and little kids and who think that they're not good enough, that they can't accomplish a dream because they're not smart enough. Because the school system tells us if you don't get this amount of, grades, these good grades, you're not up to par. If you're not reading this amount of level, then you're below grade average and, you're not smart enough or whatever. Like, the school system puts so much pressure on kids, and some kids take that as their identity. Your educational level or what you're able to accomplish educationally is not your identity. It's just a small part of you. But the good thing is that you can practice. There's tools out there. There's help out there to make you better in whatever weakness you have educationally, right? And so that's why I want to have this podcast, and I want to share this quote, and I want to let people know that your dreams can be realized if you put in the work. If you get out of social media, if you get off of the computer doing mundane things, if you get out of people's business and start worrying about your own business and what you can do to make yourself better, that's where the growth happens. That's where your dreams become reality. You're not going to get anywhere by just complaining about where you're at in life. So you have to take steps towards your goals, no matter what. Even if they're small baby steps, that's fine. That's just as important as the big steps, And so that is the one thing that has helped me be where I am at today. Having my master's program, my master's degree, being a licensed clinical social worker, having a great job, all of this didn't come yesterday. This didn't come like that. The seed of where I'm at today was planted in 2002 when I decided to go to college. That's when it was planted. So it takes a long time for your dreams to be realized, but eventually they will come to fruition. My dream was always to be independent, to, buy a house under my name. I had certain dreams. Go to college, be the first to graduate in my family. Those were my dreams. But those dreams were only accomplished because I put in the work. I sacrificed a lot of nights studying. I sacrificed a lot of parties and, things. I sacrificed things in order to be where I'm at today. And so I want my viewers out there, and especially the young generation, to know that you do not have to be a victim to your past, to your experiences, to your insecurities. Make them your servants. Make them your bitches, excuse me for cussing, but use them as a motivating force to push you forward. Okay? That's what I want you guys to learn, and that's the one thing that has helped me become who I am today. We don't have time to feel pity, to feel sorry for ourselves. We have trauma. We've all experienced trauma. Go get help. Go get therapy. Work through your trauma. Write in a journal. There's so many ways we can move forward in life. In so many ways we can be successful. We don't have to live in pain. We don't have to live a life we don't want to live. And so that's what I want people to know. I've experienced trauma just like a lot of you guys have. Divorced family, drug-addicted family, instability, all of this stuff, poverty, okay? Growing up, I lived in a house at my tia Diane's. My tia, God bless her heart, she opened her house for so many people, her and my grandma. She kept my grandma's legacy alive by doing that because my grandma was a very loving person like that. But it was hard. I remember getting credit, having to get credit from the lady Jasmine in Moreno Valley at the liquor store for bread and for tuna, for sandwiches, for lunch, for milk. And she gave us credit, that lady. I'm going to find her. I'm on a mission to find her and give her a big hug and tell her, thank you for giving us credit. Thank you because you fed us when we needed it the most. But I'm not sitting here crying about my upbringing and, oh my God, I used out those motivations to say, I never want this in my life when I'm an adult. This is not the life I want to live. And every day when I was able to make my own decisions and own choices, I made sure that I took small steps to get me where I am today, where I don't have to ask Jasmine for credit. I don't have to depend on, anyone but myself. And I've luckily, I know that it's a blessing, but the thing is that I want people to take small steps every day to create the life that they want to live. Because if I can do it, anyone can. And so that's all I have. Remember that winging it and winning is a mindset, and only you have the power to create your best life. Thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.